and welcome back to my channel. Now this is part 2 of my Uni Vlogathon, and if you are new to my channel, basically this whole vlogathon series is to do with me trying to fit as many uni videos in as possible before freshers, and then at the end I will do a few giveaways, hopefully just so that you feel a bit more comfortable about going to uni. Now this is part 2. So the first one was about my accommodation and this one is about social life. So in this one I will try to cover as much as possible. I did go to university in the middle of pandemic, so I can only really talk on certain topics, but the ones that I will talk about, I will try my very best to explain my experience, I guess. Now in terms of Nottingham as a whole, it is such a beautiful place. I'm originally from London, so I would say that the main difference between London and Nottingham that I found... Why is the place getting so bright all of a sudden? Sorry about that, the sun just decided to suddenly switch up on me. So basically the main difference between London and Nottingham is that London is a major city, whereas Nottingham is a slightly smaller city, and because of this you have a town centre or a city centre where a lot of people tend to go to socialise. So town is pretty much where you'll find restaurants and bowling, you'll find different types of events that you'd want to go to. There are so many different things going on. I'm sure the Christmas market was there as well. Also when football was on, a lot of people went there to celebrate. I would just say town overall has such a community feel to it, and I absolutely love that. Now University of Nottingham has so many societies and clubs that you can go and try out. You may not even be a pro at whatever you're doing, but there are starter sessions that you can do, taster sessions. There are also social societies as well, which may not be competitive, but it's just places that you can kind of go just to, you know, have fun. And most of these are run by students' unions. So there is a students' union building, also known as Portland building, and that is where you'll find Boots, you'll find a spa, you'll find a lot of food places as well. And if you just have any inquiries, there is a student services office in there as well. Now obviously I went to university in the middle of a pandemic, so the times where I actually was allowed to start doing things were slightly later into my university experience, but even still I had so much fun at Nottingham, and I think it just goes to show how fun the place actually is. If I actually enjoyed, you know, going to University of Nottingham even in a middle of a pandemic, I can't even imagine how fun it must be when there's no pandemic. So I would definitely say that. And also if you're a person where you're not really into the whole nightlife thing, you're not really into the whole drinking, and you're a bit nervous because you feel like university is just about drinking and party culture, because that is often what is spoken about, there is so many more things that you can get involved in at University of Nottingham. There are so many people just like you as well, so if you're feeling a bit weird, you're not too sure if like you'll be able to fit in or get along with people, just be yourself and you will attract people like you. Also keep an eye out for group chats. You don't have to actually be vocal on them. I remember in freshers I was on a few group chats. I would just really go onto the chat, I'll just be looking, I'll just be, well, virtually anyway, I'll just be, and then I'll leave again. I don't really have much to say, but I was just trying to see what everyone was, you know, doing on. There are a few group chats where you can be vocal and you can see, you know, if anybody wants to go here. It's a good way of meeting friends, but I wouldn't rely too heavily on group chats. I would say it's a good way to kind of, you know, get to know people, but it's not always the people on those group chats that you end up being lifelong friends with. Another thing that I wanted to mention is if you are the type of person where you find meeting new people a bit nerve-wracking, or you're not really used to doing that, I would say there are certain things that you can do to kind of put yourself out there that doesn't seem too forceful or doesn't seem too out of your comfort zone, I guess. I would say that one thing that people don't often think about is asking questions. If you see someone and you don't know how to start a conversation with them, ask a question, because a lot of the time they will answer, and if they answer, you then have something to start a conversation on. I remember I'd ask all the time, what course do you study, what accommodation do you live at, what city are you originally from, and a lot of the time you can always gauge something that you can kind of talk about, and you kind of learn a lot about people just by those small conversations. I know that some people don't really like small talk, so I think just by asking a question, it kind of opens the door for you to be able to start conversations. And in terms of my experience at University of Nottingham, in terms of social life, I just thought the whole thing, I loved it. Now obviously you'll have your ups, you'll have your downs, but having a good set of people around you really helps you through those moments, and it keeps you grounded. A big piece of advice that I'd give you though is make sure you keep in contact with your family and friends, but don't rely too heavily on them. And this includes friends that, for example, you were going to go to university with, perhaps from sixth form, because I do believe that because I went to university with not a lot of people from my sixth form, it meant that I had no choice but to go out there and meet more people as well as the people I already knew, whereas a lot of people who went to uni with people that they already knew from sixth form may have found it slightly harder to kind of reach out to new people because you already are comfortably in your group. So I would definitely say that reaching out, even if you are friends with people from your sixth form who are going, you know, there's always room to make new friends. You're not replacing, you're gaining. That's the best way to think of it. And yeah, because a lot more things are open now, I can imagine that things are going to be a lot more social and a lot more fun next year. So I hope that you are really looking forward to it. If you are a bit nervous about anything, or you have any questions or recommendations for videos, leave them in the comment section down below, and make sure you subscribe so that you know what's happening in my whole vlogathon. And also stay tuned for my giveaway at the end as well, because I'm not gonna say too much, but I'm excited about it. And yeah, make sure that you share with people who are also going to uni. Put your post notifications on so you know when I upload, and that is pretty much it until my next vlogathon.